so I understand taking that away. Now we're looking at things that are incredibly safe and can fit into a lot of different team comps. Twisted Fate being one of HongQ's most played champions across his entire career, something he's played a lot in solo queue as well, and then Renekton just being, you know, what Xiaoxu was known for throughout basically all of the first 3 years of his career as well. It's just those comfort picks coming off the board, AL saying, it's okay if you get some of the stronger things that are left up, we just don't want you on the things that you're known for, because we can deal with the meta, we don't want you to play your comfort.
Deal with the meta, get rid of the comfort. No!
Yeah.
You rapscallions, JDG. All right, the Bard is off the table. We won't get that from either Kael or Vampire. What is up, though, for this?
Pantheon. Is up.
Shout.
That is kind of the notable one that I'm seeing right here. I'm seeing that as a potential pretty easy lock-in for Tarzan if he wants it. Other options are on the table. I wouldn't think a Blind Azir or anything like that would make a lot of sense. Just kidding. I can't. Who am I? What kind of guy am I? You know what I mean? That is.
I have never seen it time up as good as that, Kman. Nah, we gotta run that on the Super Kman Rocks YouTube channel. I need that some way to work in there. You actually said it as it gets locked. Oh, are we gonna do it? Yeah, HongQ,
okay.
Let's go, man. Throw the Yone right at Shanks for B1ing that Azir.
Yeah, no, I love this. I mean, I think Blind Azir is hard to play in this meta right now. I think Azir, while it's gotten better, is certainly not in a great spot, and this is what they paired it with the first time. They don't want the Sejuani, they want the Maokai part of that. Maokai, a champion that I think is very underplayed in the meta. Still is obviously very tanky in the early game, but offers so much zone control, and that's like the most important part of the game right now. I've been shocked that Maokai has not come back into the meta. JDG, obviously JunJia, a huge Maokai player over the course of his career. No surprise to see that pulled out. I would imagine it's matched with something like the Skarner, tank for tank.
All right, so we've had some carry pop-offs from JunJia. We had early game dominance on a bruiser from Tarzan. Now they're both taking the setup route. They are trying to put their teammates on pedestals, obviously mainly the mid laners. The fact that they both lock in their picks early on in this turn. And now we look to, we're really cruising towards a very interesting dynamic of a draft where both teams lock full topside. You rarely see something like that. AL are going to commit to it. They're going to give Flandre a pretty good blind in the Gnar.
Blind pick Gnar, no Vayne, no Varus. So a little bit safer to pull that out here than maybe it's been in the past with those marksmen off the board. Still definitely some counter picks. Jace could potentially be on the table if you want to pair that up with a full AP Maokai in the jungle. Could definitely see that being the case. Typically when you pick that Yone, though, you want that AP coming from the top side. And obviously that's a lot more difficult when you want to try and counter the Gnar. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what they want to go for. Xiaoxu going back to comfort. Yeah, very much. It's Renekton and it's Jax. Those are his two big champs.
Like it. Also gives you, you know, kind of an out with the top lane AP conversation, right? Jax is hybrid, right? We kind of describe him as hybrid, at least his damage profile. Man, we let the top of the show off, Kman, talking about how both these teams are really roaring through their top side in the recent success. They're leaning on top side. Main contributors, mostly the mid-jungle duo. Is that ever more indicative with how this draft has played out, with both the bottom lanes being left for later on?
I think it's especially relevant now that so many of the bot lanes have been taken off the boards, especially so many of the comfort ones for both of these teams. You're just looking at, you know, going further down the priority roll here. Bard, obviously off the board. Nico now taken off the board as well. There are very few playmaking options left up, so much so that Gala's Ziggs is getting banned out, something he's played a ton of over the course of his career, but not something he's found a ton of success on. Both of these comps really don't have a lot of tools to be able to, like, fully play aggressive in the early 2v2. Jax and Yone obviously are going to function well on a side lane. I would expect Gala to go for something that's going to be a bit safer. I think that's why they're banning out the Ziggs. For AL on the other side, this is a perfect spot for a hyper carry. You have built so much teamfight potential already. If you want to fully lean into that, there are plenty of teamfight hyper carries that are left up on the table. The only notable thing that is yet to be taken in terms of a dominant 2v2 bot lane would be that Corki Nami, but the Nami is now off the board, and it just increases the priority for a lot of the things like a Felios or even a Sivir if you want to go that route.
Yeah, so, you know, putting my AD carry prowess to the test here, Kman. I'm curious. I think we're going to leave Lulu up. So Yunara Lulu is the only pairing that really screams out. But here's where things get interesting. Because JDG obviously pick first, have the counter, right? But if they pick Yunara here, I wouldn't be surprised if Hope Kael try like a hybrid Lulu bottom lane, where like you have Sivir Lulu is something that's really prevalent. Even a Felios Lulu could work.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see if we just see the Lulu locked here, if Gala and Vampire want to play the Yunara Lulu.
I would much rather take the Lulu in terms of the isolated matchup. I think it's much more consistent. But no, they want that early power. I think this makes a lot of sense as well. If you want to go for something that can be consistent in the bot lane, just pick something that basically has no losing matchups in the Caitlyn. Obviously, there are things that are going to make her life a little bit more difficult. But now if you lock in Yunara Lulu, like that's a really hard laning phase, and it kind of puts AL into a little bit of a conundrum. Do they actually want to trust Hope on one of these hyper carries, or do they want to go for something that can be a bit safer? We'll see if the gauntlet's thrown down.
I think they should just go Yunara Lulu. We are fully indexed into scaling team fighting through Tarzan's setup. But, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like either they don't trust Hope and Kael to pilot this, or they want more setup. Something has popped up here for AL to go away and towards the Jhin. It's decent. I would have actually loved the Jhin for JDG, low-key with the Maokai and Yone, just saying.
Worthwhile stat, Hope has one game of Yunara, and it was very bad, this split. So I just don't think he trusts the champion, and I don't think it's something on their board. Kael, though, definitely going to be matching some of that early aggression with the Anivia, but the gauntlet is really thrown down now because we get that Elise locked in here in the support position. You want to talk about wanting to get that 2v2 priority. Can you possibly get more 2v2 priority than Caitlyn Elise? I mean, this early game is entirely dependent on whether or not this Elise can get the Yone and the Caitlyn into these dominant spots. If you're going into the mid game losing in gold, this game is cooked. You will eventually rebound, but the scaling on AL is immense. You have to win early, and you have to win hard.
JDG saw their worst early game of the year. Lose them game 2, force them here to game 3, and what is Top 8 telling his team? Well, this draft, you know what tells me, Kman? Guys, let's dominate that early game. Let's take things right back to AL. Yeah. We're not going to lean on scaling. We're not going to wait for a 5v5, wait for the game to come to us. We have to attack anyone's legend. And I like it. I love the gumption, and it's part of the reason why we just love Tabe as a coach here that we get to see in the LPL.
They are putting their own destiny in their hands. Vampire with his first game of Elise. I am very interested to see how this ends up going. I think this is a massive, massive game for these two teams. Again, I can't stress enough. Winner locks playoffs. For this to be the time that you throw down this massive early game comp, it means you have a lot of faith in your players. You want to punish AL. You want to control the keys to the game. They either get that lead or they will fall crumbling, but it certainly will not be boring.
Sure, a lot of you at home have waited for Split 2 playoffs to arrive. Here's an appetizer for you. Game 3, JDG AL. Awesome. Awesome. Fans are still fully into it, and luckily we don't have any level 1 shenanigans to take away from their spotlight on the Jayos, but what we do have is another game of vertical jungle hijinks, or maybe JunJia. What is he cooking up here? He's going to immediately take away Tarzan's Raptors, and now he's trying to sprint down here to contest his own?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to get here in time. Or is he? The flash!
Oh my god, Tarzan's level 1. He doesn't take over level 2 here. He's going to use Twisted Advance. Tarzan's now going to have to flash. What a call from JunJia. After that disastrous Game 2 to come out like that, go right at Tarzan. I love it, man.
He was thinking about that level 1 for the entirety of game number 2. He was waiting for that moment to be able to get his mojo back as HongQ and Shanks fighting it out quite a bit in the mid lane. Not really a ton of kill pressure for either of them right now, but I'm just so excited about both of these team comps. Again, I stated it before, Elise is such a greedy pick. Vampire has, count him, 0 games of Elise in his competitive career. This is his first game on the champion, and this is an insane time to pull it out. He is integral to how this comp functions as well in terms of getting that early game lead. You have to keep an eye on him in terms of those roams.
And HongQ definitely getting a lot of tempo in this mid lane. Being able to get through these early levels into the range matchup. Very good with this Yone. He's really leading on this champion to show that his pool has really expanded, which is awesome to see here as well. So we've got a lot of pretty powerful pushing JDG lanes. Like you mentioned with the Caitlyn Elise, we do see that Xiaoxu has gone for a bit of a cheater to recall early, get an extra Ruby Crystal. and he'll get back up to a pretty decent lane
Shanks.
state as Shanks is pushed. Oh my god,
the flash.
HongQ forces a flash trade there. HongQ taking control of this mid lane as well.
I was actually a bit terrified for Shanks there because his mana was incredibly low. I didn't know if he was going to be able to make it out of that instance, but luckily for him, he is going to have the dash available, and the flash will keep him safe. It is flash for flash, but this is the power of Yone in this laning phase. Very undervalued champion. Kael!
Woohoo! Face roll the Elise combo once you get the repel. But
Tarzan's
look
here.
at Tarzan on the flank. Early heal used here from Gala. He's going to try and flash away. Tarzan holding onto that Ixtal's impact. That's a great cocoon from Vampire, and he's going to flash over Tarzan. Vampire on his first competitive game of Elise just bailed out a great gank from Tarzan. And now Tarzan's going to face check into both of them. Cocoon's going to land. Trap combo comes down, and there's the headshot to get first blood to Gala, and that is all thanks to Vampire.
You cannot make that kind of mistake against Caitlyn Elise. AL are going to play so aggressive under this tower. Gala canceled his back to catch this wave, but Kael has egg available if they want to go for a really aggressive play.
Oh, Hope. I bet he wishes he had Flash. Who's holding onto that 4-shot? There's no barrier on this Caitlyn. He flash crit shots. That's the trade kill, but not going to be the case here. Also, probably doesn't help that Hope in that exchange went for that boot start that we keep seeing these Jhin players go for, which obviously takes away a lot of your lane threat. So all that compounding, and all of the sudden, JDG open up pre-5 minutes, 1,000 gold ahead, just like we saw AL and Tarzan do in Game 2.
I do want to give them a lot of credit. They're playing great, but I also want to remind people they need this lead with the comp that they've drafted for themselves. They need to make sure that they're in a spot where they can stat check the enemy team. If you don't have that gold advantage, this game becomes so much more difficult to play through because the Elise is eventually just going to become nearly useless, and it's going to be harder to set up for that Yone and Jax carry in the later part of the game when Caitlyn can't really fight. So having this lead is super important, and it's even more important that they continue to pressure and don't stay complacent.
You see HongQ doing it. Soul Unbound just to get a first plate off of that mid turret, add some extra gold into the pocket. Look at JunJia, right? Across all the gold leads, it's JunJia that holds 500. That's because that Tarzan gank came at a pretty premium cost for the camp lead of the JDG jungler.
It is massive for JunJia to be strong in this game as Shanks just continues to get pressured out under tower. You always got to be worried about a level 6 Yone just full ulting you under your own tower and killing you. It's always possible. I can tell you that from experience. But right now, it looks like the pressure is still going to be on the bottom side. It's hard to take your eyes off of this Caitlyn Elise lane. Vampire has already shown a good amount of proficiency in his first Elise game. He's going to be a critical piece into continuing to grow this lead, and we'll see if he wants to make his roam sooner or later.
First knockup, fate sealed. Goodbye, Shanks. The solo kill savant, HongQ, has another one to his belt.
I mean, can I say that a blind pick Azir first was disrespectful as Tarzan now is just trying to push the Maokai out of his own jungle? This was a disrespectful pick from Shanks. It's his most played, and he's excellent on Azir. But this champion in Yone is incredibly strong into it, and we talked about it being a real option for JDG. They are utilizing that power to expand their lead. If they're winning without the Elise, that's the biggest problem here for AL.
And they're winning bot side with that Elise still. That gold lead continuing to stack. Tarzan in desperate need of something to get him level 6, but JunJia is pathing right along with him, trying to find wherever he wants to go. He wanted to walk through his bottom lane, but he's got to Ixtal his impact back over the Drake Pit wall, and he's still going to be without that impale as JunJia makes his way towards the bot side.
Yeah, again, it's the space control from Maokai that makes this whole setup so much more difficult. He can basically start this dragon whenever he wants, and it looks like it might be now with that bot lane push, but
why not?
You can't walk into Maokai ultimate. It's almost impossible to try to find your way into a river. Yone has shove, you have Caitlyn Elise on the bottom side. This is how much you can strangle out AL with this early game lead. JunJia obviously going to be starting that up. Stacking these dragons is also very crucial. It gives JDG the stats they need to keep scaling into the late game.
I have to start a theory about what blue side does to teams and how aggressively they play early games, man. Because, I mean, it's not as much of a complete stomp in jungle invades like we saw Tarzan do in Game 1. But again, just looking at like stats like gold difference right now at the time of the game we're in, this is eerily similar to the very sinking ship scenario we saw JDG in just a game ago. Oh my god.
Absolutely, Maokai ult.
Oh, it's gonna hit. HongQ is getting close up for the Fate Seal. No, he kind of
1 second on ult.
hesitates. He stutter steps. Oh, the ult wasn't up in time. Good call, Kman.
Oh, it was just so close. He was 1 second too early. Actually insane to be playing on that kind of timer, but that's the kind of mistake that can throw away a bit of your advantage. It is your ult on Maokai utilized, and that's a big part of your early combat pressure around some of these objectives. Grubs are now spawned onto the map, and a lot of that zone control that we really praise JunJia for having, it's going to be a little bit more difficult without the threat of that Nature's Grasp coming down. Still, should be pretty easy for one of the best grub clearing champions in the game in Maokai to be able to grab that early and continue to extend this lead.
And, you know, this is also JunJia cashing in a bit on his ability to chase Tarzan, trying to hunt for that level 6, right? He wanted the Scuttle Crab, he wanted to steal Raptors, but because he doesn't get that, he had to clear bot up, and that gave enough time for Maokai to get those grubs, and oh my god, Xiaoxu, he got, I mean, Vampire, nice flash, bro. You didn't deserve that kill. Xiaoxu did all the heavy lifting on that one.
It's really just unfortunate that it wasn't a solo kill. Still, gold going on to Elise is not too bad as long as you keep the pressure up. Kael's made his way mid lane, but there's just really no way to punish this Yone. Shanks basically needs a babysitter right now in the mid lane in terms of how this matchup is going. And it's just not easy to get one. If this Anivia spends time mid, now your Jhin is completely useless on the bottom side going into Caitlyn. You lose pressure elsewhere. There's just not a lot to do here.
Hey, Kman, you want an obvious reason why why we need to keep our Anivia bottom lane? Look at the AD carries items right now. Please do not leave Gala alone with that scary man holding a BF sword.
If that spider comes bot lane, I think my little number 4 man is not in a good spot. I think that might be a little bit of a problem for him. So Vampire going to continue to just be aggressive. Just get as much vision as you can as Elise right now. You're so safe in terms of your engages, and certainly Skarner is not the champ that can capitalize. Teleport coming in mid. This could be a disaster if they want to dive.
JunJia is going to time up the cocoon perfectly. There's the Fate sealed. I don't know if they have enough burst. Shanks uses a really good effort to bind, and the Ixtal's impact catches HongQ before he can rebind his soul. Great punish there from Tarzan, who's looking to grab him on the Vampire. Nature's Grass has come in time. No, there's the Ice Storm and Wall from Kael. It's a big double kill to Shanks. A huge swing back for the Pandas.
There was no damage on the dive onto the mid laner. I don't even really know where it all went, but they go for the engage onto Azir, and he's got half health. They don't even burst him down quickly enough. That is a massive, massive throw. We're going to get a replay here. Vampire tries to time this up well. I believe does land the cocoon right into the Fate Seal from HongQ, but look at how healthy Shanks is. Again, there's just no damage coming through because Elise doesn't actually get her combo off. HongQ is the only one landing any damage, and that's certainly not enough to tank up 3 tower shots at this point. It's completely cooked. JunJia tries to salvage anything. The flash from Kael is decently unnecessary to get the wall down, but still pretty valuable. HongQ's still going to be in a great spot in the individual laning phase, but that's first item done, and Shanks immediately back into the game.
What a lifeline. Shanks still down gold, but gets over to that Nashor's Tooth first item, and most importantly, you kind of stem the bleeding if you are AL. You keep a lid on this gold lead, and buy yourself more time to wait for those very critical 5v5s. So we feel like with a tanky Tarzan, with a Mega Gnar from Flandre, Shanks is going to be able to cook pretty hard, and he's going to have to be. Especially when we talk about when these teams up and down years they've had, who has been Mr. Consistent for both these teams? Look no further for AL than Shanks in the mid lane on this Azir.
And he's got his signature champion in this game. That is the key thing. He's so comfortable in this spot to be the primary carry, but he has to make sure he doesn't fall victim to Vampire and JunJia here. All
right, here we go. Shanks' first flash away from the Fate sealed, and a nice little dash away. Does get 2 ultimates for the price of his flash, but you best believe JunJia and Vampire are going to remember that 5-minute timer. Okay. Oh, nice use of the Fate, the Soul Unbind, but Tarzan's right on top of HongQ. Good flash Q dash. Gets himself out of the Impale. Full support show up here. Vampires use the repel well to get away from the Flash Frost. It's a party in the mid lane, and no summoners apparently are allowed.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's gorgeously played from both of the mid laners. They're both dead there if they don't time all of their abilities perfectly. The flash coming in from Shanks ends up getting out of both of the ultimates dropped, and then you can't really play that better if you're HongQ. The important timer that I thought they were going to wait for was going to be that first item completion for HongQ, but they just decided to bite the bullet before the Bork. Hope now way too far forward. Looks like he's not even going to get checked, though. It's 3 for 1. He's the only person here.
He's lucky that cocoon missed. He's lucky Vampire is still going through the first-time woes on this champion. You better play Curtain Call coming out here. We're looking for slows. Try to set up Kael, but the Flash Frost will not land. Force shot just tickles JunJia. No way to cut down that big tree. We've got our junglers here now. Tarzan nearby for that second Drake take. Shanks takes one hell of a lick, though, from HongQ. So JDG, I think they should be safe enough to grab that second Drake of the game.
And that is still a relief. They still have a pretty big gold lead in terms of where they're at in the game. I do want to continue to stress they will eventually run into some problems where Elise is not really going to be all that useful outside of a Cocoon in the late game. The damage is really going to fall off, and, you know, eventually you're going to need this Jax and Yone duo to essentially carry the entire game, finding backline targets. That time is not yet happening. Gala is pretty accelerated, up 700 gold on the bottom side, has completed that first item as well. Both AD carries are on that first item power spike, but now we're sitting at a point where you just can't really make those overstepping mistakes. HongQ.
Oh, the Deadly Flourish follows him as he goes back with his E. The Fate sealed doesn't get him far enough. A wondrous impale there from Tarzan. He's going to grab HongQ by his bootstraps. And some critical gold over to Hope.
HongQ just testing his own abilities a little too much. Gets caught out of his own ultimate with the impale from Tarzan. It's beautifully played from him on the Skarner. And I really mean this. I'm shocked that they were so comfortable letting this over in comparison to some of the other junglers. This is the reason they picked it over Pantheon. Pantheon is the most banned champion against AL, but Skarner is Tarzan's most played for a reason. He's so comfortable at being able to make plays in the mid game on Skarner and being able to find his way into team fights in the later part of the game. It is full dominance from Tarzan throughout the last couple of games. Despite the bad early game, he is still making his presence known.
Yeah, and you know, looking off of that slow early game, I know that this is kind of like a very routine combo that we have with Jhin. I'll keep it short. In a game state like this where we have a tank jungler and a setup top laner, and your laning was going to be bad no matter what you knew, you weren't going to be able to spike early, I don't get why we go for the Yomus. You need a backdoor Jhin scaling threat, and I just think Stormraze or even like Hex Optics would have been a better look here. But I'll leave it at that, Kman. I'm just disappointed by this optimization from Gala.
I think it's already kind of tough to play Jhin in this game, if only just because I think the big benefit of Jhin, and the reason he's so popular in the meta, and the reason I think he's so misunderstood by most of the community, is that he is a purely dominant weak side AD carry. He is the most consistent AD carry to play a playmaker with, because he can do whatever you want. He's basically Ezreal and Ashe combined into one champion. You get the utility of Ashe and the safety of Ezreal in the laning phase, but if you can't utilize that pressure roaming around with your support, then you don't actually get the true value of Jhin. And it just doesn't feel like they're going to be able to get that in this game. AL still positioning well, and Hope will be able to do damage, but he's got to be careful. Gala is very strong right now.
Ace of the hole going to come down. Kael's chunked about half HP. He does have access to that rebirth, the egg form as everyone likes to call it, so won't be too big of an issue that he gets chunked out decently. Both these teams trying to jockey around a Rift Herald. It is on the map, but trying to do it through mid lane. Both AD carries can extinguish waves. His sapling value starting to rear its ugly head here for AL. JunJia with that AP Leandries is being able to spot all of AL out trying to work their way into the river, and, well, they won't even go near it. Rift Herald secured for Jindong Gaming.
The benefit of Maokai, and the reason I'm so shocked that he's not so prevalent in the meta, is just look at the zone control he has just based off of, like, knowledge alone. Like, he sets up in around an objective, and knowledge. He is able to completely dominate, you know, setting up in an area. Sorry, I was thrown off a little bit there from reading too many books, but I think... Exactly, my Lamborghini in my garage. But JunJia's been really good on this Maokai at controlling so much of the territory. He's really good at saying, hey, I have an ultimate. I don't have to use it, but I can threaten it, and definitely create a lot of havoc and panic.
Definitely trying to create havoc with his former Oyster buddy in HongQ. We've seen him constantly look to set up that Nature's Grasp into a big fate sealed. And once again, he's posturing towards his mid laner. Tarzan is going to take some decent chip damage. A Cocoon comes out from Vampire, but this is where we're starting to get to the point in the game where I think it's worth mentioning. Oh, hold on. Nature's Grasp coming down.
Oh,
looking
yeah,
for
here we
Shanks. Not going to get tagged. Tarzan will take that up. Fate Sealed is also going to whip. Nice sidestep there from Shanks. Brings up the Streaming Soldiers as well, but Gala's hounding him. Headshot to the dome of Tarzan. And you may have gotten rid of HongQ, but Gala is ready to play in this series.
That is absolutely what you need to keep an eye on. Of course, the engage coming in from JunJia, HongQ, and even Xiaoxu scaring you on the backside is entirely terrifying, but Gala is going to be able to free hit throughout a lot of this game, and while we might think of Caitlyn as an incredibly weak mid-game champion, you give enough time to Caitlyn to break through even at 1 or 2 items, she can make a big impact on the game with that range if you're just free hitting. So for Gala, just keep an eye on what his positioning is going to be and how much pressure AL actually want to put into shutting him down.
And right now, with, Tarzan's build path, the Hex, the Protoplasm Rush we always talk about, he's just stacking health. He's not really resistant heavy, and that is going to make it a lot easier for Gala to finish off these kills. The JunJia and HongQ set him up.
I really want to point out, this is the strength of Maokai Yone and why this comp is so dangerous to play. Zone control, like, you can't fight in the river, like, at all.
How about this river?
As, with Maokai ultimate on cooldown, maybe you can fight right now. TP coming in.
TP behind, battle lines drawn. HongQ joining into the fray. Ready for that Maokai ult to come up, but it's still 10 seconds away. Battle Herald has been summoned. This would be soul point for JDG. They are buying time for those ultimates, though. 2 seconds till Nature's Grass comes down. JunJia should just use it to zone, and he aptly will. There's the dragon secured. Kael gets caught into it. Shanks as well. The curtain call comes down here from Hole, taking some pot shots. AL, they don't have their Gnar at full stack up. They do get a big 4 shot onto JunJia, but HongQ off to the side, gets a 2-for-1 special on one Fate Seal, and now all bets are off. Kael forced into the egg. Hope will find a trade kill. Huge Gnar flinging from Tarzan, Flandre, but he only hits one member, and HongQ's going to re-engage, unbinds his soul, and looks to hunt for home. Flash Cocoon from Vampire seals home a huge, gratifying JDG fight win, and it's time to stamp it off by chasing down the Icebird.
Vampire wants even more. This bot lane has been bloodthirsty in this game, and I think Kael will be the next target. I don't think he's making his way out of this one, but what a fight from the solo laners of JDG. It's Xiaoxu who jumps in and stuns up Shanks, and an unbelievable ultimate from HongQ, who obliterates the entirety of AL, as Kael actually might make his way out of this, or at least buy a ridiculous amount of time. Unlucky, but at least it's a solo kill. Vampire gonna pick up some gold there. Still, I mean, that's the fight that likely breaks open the entire game. I'm gonna say it straight up. Maokai might have the most broken ultimate in the entire game. He just gets to press R here when it's off of cooldown, and all of AL have to disengage from this entire dragon fight. They don't get to flip, they don't get to play aggro, because you just get to space everything. You have to play so safe, because if you're rooted up on the front line, you will instantly die. Kael is playing so greedy because he recognizes he still has egg, but where is the damage gonna come from? Shanks is already at half health, and HongQ says, Xiaoxu's going in, and Shanks already used ult. Yeah, I think I'll take that double kill. Thank you very much. The close to leader of player of the matches across this split here in the LPL, stepping up huge on a dominant champion in this game.
I just love the small things, too. You talk about that Nature's Grasp, it opened up that space, and we saw both Vampire and HongQ utilize that Ocean Soul brush. We've had 3 Ocean Souls in all 3 games came in. That back brush, it allowed HongQ and Vampire to dip into fog. The observers toggled it during the replay, and AL just forgot that that's a place they could be sitting in.
Shanks?
Guys, where did Shanks go?
Right?
Caitlyn scaled,
hey, how's that
everybody.
first pick his ear working? JunJia might be the target here, but can you kill this Maokai?
Nope, and he's got friends with him. Here comes Vampire. Gala leading the front for charge. There's that Nature's Grass down again. Look at Tarzan's health bar. That is the tank that is getting chunked shot after shot here from Gala. By the way, don't avert your eyes top bot lane, because while all this is going on, Xiaoxu's doing what Jaxes do best. That's breaking down side lane turrets.
I mean, mid laners trade and you get a bunch of gold on the bot side. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd be okay with that. We get a replay of how this happened. HongQ just going really aggressive onto Flandre, uses the ultimate, completely whiffs it, walks right into 3 people and just kind of dies. Cool. You know, HongQ's had some up and down moments. Oh the final auto will be able to take him down, but unfortunately, for AL, their mid laner is going to make a mistake of their own, walking into darkness right into an Elise Cocoon, and it's just a bit of chaos across the entire map. Xiaoxu really the one to benefit from it, and this Jax is quietly incredibly strong on the top side. I don't know if anyone can stop him in side lane.
So, you've got a Jax that you have to send 2 members for, and you have a 4-man squad from JDG that is impossible to walk into with Elise, Maokai Saplings, and a Fed Caitlyn. Ooh, AL, this is a very, very daunting task ahead of them. They also have to not only just answer for Baron Kman, they have to answer for an Ocean Soul, our third one of the series, by the way, in under a minute's time.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit to AL is that it is AP Maokai, kind of necessitated by the Yone in the mid lane, and so relatively squishy in comparison to what you're normally expecting out of that champion, but it does mean that you walk into these saplings, you're actually going to take a lot more than you probably think you will. It's really only Tarzan and Flandre are going to be able to do that consistently. For now, it's setting up around areas, and that's where Maokai thrives. If this ultimate gets dropped, be really careful on who gets hit by it.
And again, I really want to emphasize this, Kman. The nature of the modern build path for Skarner is he's got the battle pipes. This is a very fake tank Skarner right now.
That's a very good point. Tarzan's going to be in a lot of danger, and he basically needs to frontline here. Kael going to try and utilize that passive to be a little bit more greedy and aggressive, but it's all going to be up to Shanks, the guy who got 2 kills early on in this game. He is so crucial on the Azir. He's got the flash available. He's got Rocket Belt available as well. A lot of mobility tools. Xiaoxu looking to find him, though.
Shanks doesn't know he's there. Counter-Strike stun. Good flash out of the cocoon. But now Shanks loses access to his flash. Nature's Grasp is going to claim only Shanks. They're going to try and protect him. Good, nice dash. Comes out as the Fate Sealed goes down. But this is now Ocean Soul on the mark here. Vampire gets caught pretty far forward, goes into the repel, but there is the Ocean Soul claim. Tarzan goes for the Hail Mary, and it falls completely flat. HongQ finds the first kill, and now they've gotten all of AL cornered up towards this bottom lane. Gala just face tank all of hope, cleanses off the Deadly Flourish, and there is the force from JunJia. It's a multi-kill for Gala, make it a triple kill for Gala. It's a quadra kill for Gala, and a dominating finishing blow from JDG, and they've got playoffs on their mind.
JD Gaming want to remind people that they went to first stand, that they took BLG to the limit, and they're going to do so by locking their spot into the playoffs and proving how good they are.
It didn't even take 25 minutes for JDG to bounce back from that Game 2 loss and officially punch their ticket to playoffs.
Yes, sir, JDG. Game 2, I don't remember. I don't remember anything about game number 2. Complete remake. Game 1, they played better. They out-executed AL and they won the game. Game 3, they played better. They out-executed AL and they won the game. This was a phenomenal series for JDG. You can excuse level 1 shenanigans. Honestly, like, I know it feels weird to say that them getting stomped in game 2 feels like an afterthought, but that's not repeatable. That's not something that's going to happen every game. In the games where they got to play, they were better, and that is the big difference here today.
Yeah, you know, it is a little bit hindsight bias, but I'm with you. I'm with you. You can kind of write off a game 2 like they had. It was just like engine failure from the start line, and you'd be like, all right, like you mentioned, not going to happen again. But just looking at games 1 and games 3, yeah, JDG, when they survive the first couple of minutes, they are so locked in on how to execute the comp they're drafted for. And what's most important, Kman, in that statement is that looking at game 3 draft versus game 1 draft, two styles that play very differently, and they both were executed pretty darn well.
I think that's the thing for me, is it's just JDG at their best feel like a team that just runs at their own pace. You talked about things like Jarvan that give them consistent engage, but really what they need is direction. They need something that they know they can execute on, because when they hold the cards in their hand, they are going to win most games. They went to 5 against BLG in the playoffs. People forget about that. This was not a team that got rolled over by BLG. They took them to the limit, and I get that things haven't worked out for them in the regular season and that BLG has been their kryptonite, but I meant it when I said that everyone else has fallen to JDG. This was an AL team that dropped to JDG in the playoffs in split number 1, and once again, it's looking like JDG just might be the second best team in the LPL and might represent the region at MSI again.
I mean, that series definitely inspires confidence in that statement, Kman. And, you know, hearing you talk about like all the direction stuff, and it really points to why BLG are such a problem for this team. Also, just look at game 2, right? Like, they get run over early game, they have no answer. Which team in the LPL is, like, their entire identity is around smashing lanes and never looking back? It's pretty clear why BLG are the kryptonite to JDG, and the way they're playing right now for that AL series, that's really the only thing they have to figure out, is how to get over the hump of really strong early games coming up against them.
And let's not forget, I mean, we're obviously in a very different split now than we were in split number 1. A lot of these teams have changed players and certainly changed reputations. But JDG's reputation in split number 1 were the comeback kids. I mean, they were the team that was constantly going down in gold and winning games anyways. They didn't really care if they were losing. Now, that kind of flipped itself on its head as well, where they just were doing the opposite of whatever happened in the early game. If they won in the early game, they would find a way to throw. But they would lose a lot of early games and still find ways back in through their great team fighting. This is a team that we know has the capability of playing multiple different game states. It's really just about feeling comfortable enough to get to that late game. If you're winning early and you're able to snowball games, great. I'm even more impressed if it doesn't matter what happens early and you can still find ways to get yourself back into games.
Well, it doesn't matter what happens the rest of the split here for JDG. They are locked into the playoffs. We'll give you guys an updated standings look shortly. Got to, of course, go through these post-game stats, which do show what I was, wanting to talk about. I think this may be a really hard player of the game to figure out. I don't think we'll necessarily see it thanks to the interview, but if anything reflects it, look how just even the damage numbers even were for this game between guys like HongQ, Gala, and JunJia is fake, by the way. That's all sapling damage. I refuse to accept those numbers.
You can't call it fake. He's earned it because his ultimate provides 700,000 damage worth of value. Okay. I truly do believe it is. It's the best ult in the game. It's unbelievable that I know Maokai gets a lot of groans and people are tired of seeing these tanks in the meta. I'm just always so surprised that people go away from them. I don't care about what the stats are. I don't care if you're not all that tanky. I mean, his kit is just inherently one of the best in the game, and we continue to see that. Something tells me HongQ is going to be pretty high on the player of the game leaderboard. In terms of these votes, I would guess that he's going to get quite a few for some of those flashy Yone plays, but it really was a team effort. You're absolutely right. Everybody played their role here.
Everybody indeed played their role very well in this one. And you're right. This is one of just the most great game-breaking ultimates that we really see in the game. It's funny, right? Because we complain about things like boring Maokai, but now we're so happy when we see it come back. It's just once again reflective that when it comes to balancing this game, especially for competitive play, it's like 50. We're always 55-45 in between being completely balanced. And we just appreciate when we can have both things like a Maokai jungle game played. Look at this series for JunJia, right? He gets to play this Maokai game, and he also plays a Carry and a Fury game in the same series. That's what really tells you, Kman, that League of Legends is probably pretty well balanced, guys.
I don't want to be the guy that gets booed by chat. I think this patch is pretty good. I think we're in a state where I like the meta.
For competitive, I agree with you. There are definitely some disgusting things going on in solo queue, but that's not what we're here for. We're not talking about that.
I am not letting the Dusk and Dawn Xin influence my thought process on where competitive lies right now. Just not something that's even in the back of my mind. You can do whatever you want in the meta right now. I know people are kind of mad because there's no AD mid laners. I don't know, man. I just saw Yone absolutely crush a game, man. And I get it. Oh, you have to play a tank with Yone. Yeah. You do. You're
That's
right.
always been the case, by the way.
That's always the case, man. You need setup for that champion, but if you have it, it's going to be super consistent.
Super consistent indeed. You know who's been super consistent for us here at LPL English? Two very important people I want to shout out as we are winding down our show. And this, of course, goes out to our Elite Coffee supporters. That being Aaron Soup and Mom. You two are amazing superstars. Their pledged financial contributions have helped level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. If you want to be a coffee supporter of any level, the links are below, but we appreciate everyone coming in here, chatting, watching, viewing. You keep this fan-run project running. So thank you to our Elite Coffee supporters. Thank you to all of our supporters, of course, here. But as we come to an end of our day, time to soak in these playoff standings. Kman, with that 8th series win and the bottom half all stuck at 5, we have 3, I believe, right, we have 3 of our playoff teams now set in stone.
Indeed, it's Billy, Top Esports, and JD Gaming that have guaranteed themselves a top 4 spot, therefore guaranteed themselves playoffs. AL, the only team currently in the top 4 that can technically be dethroned, but it will only take 1 series win for them to get there, and they would really only be able to be knocked off if there are multiple wins from other teams and they lose the game score tiebreaker, so still very likely for them to get top 4, but JDG with the win here today cements themselves as a playoff team, and again, gets themselves 1 series closer to potentially getting to choose their opponent after BLG as that number 2 seed.
What an exciting time here. Unfortunately, though, folks, as we are now into Sunday, that does mean that we are going to be taking that, little break here before LPL actually comes back around. So we'll see you guys, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, wherever you are, back for more Group Ascent action. It will be WE versus IG, and then Top Esports versus JDG, which could be a very fun playoff preview as those two teams go for a last time. Kman, it's always been a pleasure to rock the Slayman Rocks duo.
Slayman Rocks.
What are your final words, my friend, before we get off the airwaves?
Final words, thank you so much, Slayer. Thank you so much to Grapes earlier tonight as well for the very excellent casting. Thank you to Shivam for all the work that you're doing behind the scenes as well. And you know what? We got some crazy ones here today. I'm glad we could have some laughs. I'm glad we could talk about my Lamborghini in my garage. And overall, what a great end to the week.
What a great end to the week indeed. Congratulations once more to JD Gaming, solidified as one of your 3 current locked-in playoff teams in the LPL. And the regular split is only winding down, and the stakes will only continue to raise. We'll see you guys back for that WEIG matchup early next week. Until then, take care, and we'll